This is a settlement nearby where the Israelis require the Palestinians to go to apply for a permit to visit their land. The name of the settlement is Kedumim. And very few farmers are actually given permits to get to their land. And the ones that are very much the older ones. And my first stop in Jayus was the girls' school. This was a day on which I was not expected. I was not announced. And again, you can see the children, the beautiful children, and the way that they're cared for. We had sent library books, and we met the teachers who thanked us for the library books and the encyclopedias that we had sent. The children were very eager to try their English with Americans. The morning after I arrived, I got up and got on a tractor at 6:30 in the morning, which was itself a miracle, and went to what I thought were going to be the fields at the invitation of the farmers. We got to the gate at the foot of the hill, and the gate was locked, and there was nobody in sight. There was a sign saying that the gate would be closed for 9 days because there were Jewish holidays going on. Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, and one other holiday fell together. And the preceding year, the holidays had fallen at such close intervals, but still far enough apart so that the gate was closed for 26 days. They'd lost all their guava crop, all their tomato crop, many things just before harvest. Finally, a phone call was made, and a soldier did come, and they told him they had an American guest, and he opened the gate, but he said now it's going to be closed for the rest of the time. So we went through. You can see here the gate's at the bottom of the hill, and this road is right behind the gate, and all that land beyond is Jayus agricultural land and greenhouses. They are very proud of the greenhouses and the technology they've invested their life savings in many cases. This is my host on his little kitchen garden, which has since been confiscated since I returned. This is a little dwelling on his property, and it looks very humble from the outside, but inside it had a stove, a bed, a wardrobe, and a table and chairs. He said that he often stays there during times of closure, and the farmers come inside out of the sun to have their lunch. And even on this day, they gathered fruits from the garden and vegetables from the garden and made this incredible lunch for me. This has also been taken from him. This man reminded me of my great-grandfather, who also made his living entirely from the earth. He told me, and the other farmers told me, that they believe they and God together nourish the earth, and the earth and God in turn nourish their families. And I heard that very same sentiment expressed by my Christian grandfather many times when I was growing up. I came back in mid-December. In late November, bulldozers arrived and started destroying the area where I had gathered vegetables with the family. They destroyed all this area of farmland and uprooted hundreds of trees in the orchards. The uprooting continued in December. This was over the course of a couple of weeks that this took place. And the settlement, you can see, I believe, is in the background. The water tower is to the right in the distance. And this is all getting ready for the new settlement. These are Caterpillar bulldozers paid for with our tax dollars, made here in Illinois and sold to the Israelis. Many of them are designed with the express purpose of being weaponized, and they're sold through the Foreign Military Sales Act to Israel. I'm not sure if this one was, but many of these big Caterpillar D9 bulldozers are sold as military items, and they're used to demolish homes as well as orchards. You can see the settler with a gun guarding the Caterpillar bulldozer while it worked. And you can see the farmer at the end of the day finally allowed through to his orchard, and he found branches cut and lying on the ground. One thing I learned is that olive trees are planted by grandparents for their grandchildren. Olive trees can live to be 2,000 years old or more. In the World Book Encyclopedia we purchased for our children 25 years ago, it does say many trees in Palestine are 2,000 years old. So this is a legacy. It's what they hand down. It's their bank account that they hand down to their children, their heritage. And it was destroyed. Now, internationals have come and planted trees, and these too have been destroyed. They came in an act of solidarity with the village. Palestinians are arrested frequently. Many are held without charge. There are 11,000 in Israeli prisons right now, more than 11,000, including several hundred children. And many of them are held without charge, without lawyers, without trial, without access to their families, in violation of the Geneva Conventions again. Now, our taxes fund this violence. I hesitated to show you some of these things, but I think we have seen in our newspapers a lot about the violence toward Israelis, which we all condemn and should condemn. But, as I said, there have been many, many more times Palestinians killed than Israelis, and this has been true throughout this Intifada, and it was true also during the Intifada in the 1980s that was nonviolent. There have been many, many terrible things done to the Palestinian people using our tax dollars. So I think that we need to know this. In a couple of weeks, Congress is going to be considering the first installment in a $30 billion aid package to the Israeli military. Our President Bush signed a memorandum of understanding. It was approved by Congress recently, earlier in the year, to provide $30 billion in addition to the billions and billions of dollars we've already provided. The difference is, heretofore, until this past year, we have had a balance between military aid and aid to Israel's domestic economy. And many of us would like to help Israelis and would like to contribute to the Israeli economy. But all of this money is going for the Israeli military. Since 1998, it has been phased out, and last year, for the first time, all the aid we send is for the military. And the military is what enforces this occupation. Now, all the Palestinians I met, and I'm aware that I didn't meet them all, but I did travel through a number of different places. I went to Jericho, Ramallah, the northern villages in the West Bank. I went to Bethlehem and areas outside of Bethlehem. So I got a good feeling of people in many settings, but all of them expressed a desire to live in peace with Israelis once they stop taking their land and their water and treat them as equal human beings. 50% of the Palestinian people are children. And like Israeli children, they have so much potential. But to realize that potential, for both of them, they have to have hope. To protect Israelis, Palestinians must have hope. And the farmers said, well, the sun gives us hope. When there's nothing else to have confidence in, the sun gives us hope. Every morning it rises, and we believe that God will deliver us from this in His own time. We all have a responsibility to understand what's taking place, and many, many people of different faiths are trying to tell us it's time for Americans to listen. So thank you all for having me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.